Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was just going through your comments from this morning, and it does sound like the net effect of where you're thinking in terms of the overall economy is that, at least on the mid to upper side of the client base, businesses are saying, we just kind of got to move on, and we're going to have to learn to live with this virus.
Yeah, I found that very interesting, and this has been a shift in the last 60 or so days, where prior to that, most people were, still kind of hunkered down, trying to wait, trying to get through it. But there's clearly a shift where people are now saying, my business is okay, not as great as it was, but we learned a lot from the Great Recession. When this thing happened, we hunkered down, we cut our expenses. So we're kind of ready, and so we think it's now time to move on. And we're hearing that a lot, which I find to be very, very encouraging because, at some point, we all have to reach that resolve, right? I mean, at some point, we have to conclude we can't change the circumstances. We have to change ourselves. And so this is the point where I think clients, business owners are saying, we can't change the world, but we can change ourselves. Let's get on and live life and do business.
Right. Of course, it doesn't mean that at the very small end, things are not tough. And we've been talking about stimulus all morning long, Kelly. But, I mean, how much are we willing to live with in terms of degradation at the very micro end, if assuming that additional government aid is not forthcoming anytime soon?
Well, that's my biggest worry. And while I said this morning that, I feel better about the middle and upper end, I am very concerned about the lowest end because, as you know, that's where the majority of the employees in the country come from, existing in startup small micro businesses. And they are really struggling. Not all, but a lot. And so basically, in this kind of environment, when the world changes on you overnight, you have to change. Well, that's easier for a mid-sized or large firm to do. It's very hard for a person with 10 employees to do. And so they are very challenged, very struggling. And so the real projection of the economy hinges on, in my view, substantially what happens to those small micro businesses. If the pandemic continues at least the current level for an extended period of time, you're going to see a dramatic shakeout in those small businesses. So I agree with what others have said. We really do need some additional stimulus, although it's challenging to know how to do it. But we need to figure out how to help them in terms of continuing their businesses.
Right. All week long, we've been taking stock of bank earnings and essentially deposits versus loan growth, and watching that ratio separate a bit. I just wonder, can you help our viewers understand what's happening to loan growth, if this is banks being uber cautious or simply the demand, the pull, at least for now, not being there?
Yeah, that's the big story from a broad economic point of view and a bank point of view is there's basically no loan demand. And it's somewhat banks tightening up because, as you would imagine, these are extraordinarily difficult economic circumstances. And we do have to evaluate the economy in general. We do have to evaluate the creditworthiness of the businesses themselves. But to be honest, I think the majority issue is businesses are just not ready to borrow.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.